You are listening to Buddha's Healing a Sanctuary, to contemplate the Buddha's teachings and live a life of serenity amidst the world. The mystical interconnection of mind-body and the deep ties of karmic force. In this volatile journey of human existence, perhaps none of us has ever escaped the physical pains of the body. It could be a fleeting ache when the seasons change, a chronic ailment lingering year after year, or even a terminal illness striking like a ruthless twist of fate. When confronting such suffering, most of us only perceive the superficial, material manifestations. A damaged organ, a degenerating cell, or a physiological imbalance. You look for Western medicine, Eastern herbal remedies, or the most advanced therapies with the hope of severing the pain instantly. This is entirely correct from the standpoint of modern medicine. Yet, have you ever wondered why? Living in the same environment and sharing the same diet, some remain vibrant and healthy, while others spend their entire lives accompanied by medicine and hospitals. Why is it that some illnesses, despite using the finest remedies and consulting the most skillful doctors, remain lingering and unresolved? Or just as they subside in one place, they flare up in another, under the profound lens of the Buddha Dharma. This body is not an independent entity isolated from the surrounding world, nor is it separate from the stream of consciousness. Mind and body are two facets of a unified whole, or in the profound language of Zen masters, the non-duality of mind and body. Every cell, every drop of blood flowing through your veins carries an invisible, yet extraordinarily powerful energy. The force of karma. Karma is not something vague or mystical dwelling in the high heavens, nor is it a fatalistic punishment ordained by a supreme being. Karma is simply the natural consequence of actions, words, and thoughts that you have sown in the past, whether from many lifetimes ago or during the elapsed years of this present life. When negative karmic force accumulates to a critical point, it acts like a muddy, turbulent current, silently eroding the dikes. It does not collapse your body instantly, but permeates every meridian, every subtle structure of the physical form, creating energy blockages. Over time, these blockages manifest as illnesses, as excruciating pains that modern medicine sometimes shakes its head at, calling them idiopathic or psychosomatic conditions. Therefore, understanding the intricate connection between karma and health is not about falling into superstition. Rather, it opens up a holistic vision, helping you see through the root cause of all physical suffering, thereby finding the truest and most sustainable path to self-healing. Common misconceptions in perceiving illness and karmic retribution. When facing illness, especially prolonged or terminal diseases, it is easy for human beings to fall into extreme psychological states. These misconceptions not only fail to soothe the pain but, on the contrary, inadvertently nourish the seeds of negative karma, causing physical illness to worsen and mental affliction to deepen. The first misconception: clinging strictly to the material form and completely denying the element of consciousness. This is a common malady of our modern era of technology and empirical science. Many of us absolutely believe that the body is purely a biological machine. When the machine breaks down somewhere, one only needs to repair, replace, or intervene with chemicals there. You forget that psychological states, emotions, and negative energies like greed, anger, and jealousy accumulated over many years are the most hazardous catalysts destroying the body's immune system. A person who lives every day in resentment and anger, even if they consume the finest delicacies or the most expensive supplements, will still have toxins flowing in their bloodstream. When you refuse to acknowledge the dimension of karma and consciousness, You are only treating the symptoms while ignoring the root, causing the illness to behave like weeds cutting one layer only for another to sprout. The second misconception: despair, resignation, and falling into fatalism. In contrast to the aforementioned group, there are practitioners who, upon entering the gate of the Dharma and hearing about cause and effect, interpret it mechanically and narrow-mindedly. When diagnosed with a serious illness, they abandon all hope and harbor resentment toward destiny. Thinking, "This is my karma, I must bear it," treatment is futile. This resignation completely contradicts the progressive and transformative spirit of Buddhism. Karma is not a fixed, unalterable sentence. Karma is created by you, which means you possess the absolute power to alter and transform it through wholesome actions, sincere repentance, and the meditative stability of a peaceful mind. If you surrender and nurture despair, that very dark energy of hopelessness will accelerate the decay of the body, allowing bad karma to ripen faster and more severely. The third misconception: seeking superstitious practices and blind ritualistic worship. This is a sorrowful reality when faith is misplaced due to fear clouding reason, when the physical body is in pain and the mind is panicked. People easily listen to fortune-telling, elaborate star propitiation rituals, or exorcisms, hoping to use wealth or external spiritual powers to bribe cause and effect. You must understand that no Buddha, Bodhisattva, or external spiritual force can bear your karmic retribution if you do not actively cultivate and reform your own inner mind. Conducting grand rituals while anger still abounds, greed remains boundless, and selfishness covers everything will only deplete your resources, waste the golden time for medical treatment, and further obscure your consciousness, leading you astray from the right path. The profound teachings of the Blessed One on the source of physical suffering. To properly understand how karmic force operates on the biological body, let us return to the timeless realizations of the Blessed One. Throughout his life of guiding sentient beings toward liberation, he repeatedly expounded upon the relationship between ethical conduct and the state of the physical body. In ancient discourses, the Buddha clearly indicated that all things in this world, including the human body, are formed through the conditional convergence of the four major elements, known as the four great elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. The solid parts such as flesh, bones, teeth, and hair belong to earth. The fluid parts like blood, secretions, sweat, and tears belong to water. Motion and breath belong to wind. And the warmth, the temperature within the body, belongs to fire. When these four elements harmonize and operate smoothly, the body remains healthy and at peace. But when one or more elements conflict, weaken, or become overly dominant, illness immediately arises within the body. However, the core truth that the Buddha wanted us to realize is: what governs the harmony or conflict of these four great elements? The answer is consciousness and karmic force. In the Dhammapada, his golden words affirm absolutely: mind precedes all mental states, mind is their chief. They are mind-made. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him, as the wheel follows the hoof of the ox. A single thought arising, even the most subtle, carries its own unique vibrational frequency. When you give rise to a mind of loving kindness, compassion, and tolerance, that frequency is the energy of life, of healing. It harmonizes the four great elements, circulates the blood, and nurtures cells in an environment of peace and joy. Conversely, when your mind drowns in greed, anger, jealousy, and resentment, that is when you are releasing toxic energies into your own body. The defilement of consciousness is the deep-seated cause that disrupts the balance of the four great elements, causing the wind to stagnate, the fire to rise, the water to pool, and the earth to deplete. Furthermore, the Blessed One also expounded on the karma of killing one of the primary causes, leading to a short lifespan and numerous illnesses in the present life. When a being deprives the life of or inflicts pain upon another being, the fear, resentment, and agony of the victim at the moment of death form a tremendous force of grievance, binding itself to the consciousness of the perpetrator. When conditions mature in this life, that grievance transforms into disease, causing agents within their physical form, forcing them to undergo excruciating pain similar to what they once inflicted upon others. Understanding this, you will see that illness is never a random occurrence, but a precise and just reflection of the mirror of cause and effect. The vital importance of discerning karmic signs before it is too late. Illness, if viewed through worldly eyes, is a disaster, a stroke of bad luck that everyone wishes to banish. But if viewed through the eyes of a follower of the Buddha, of one practicing a life of mindfulness, illness is a strict yet invaluable teacher, a profound wake-up call. It reminds us of the impermanent nature of human existence, of the fragility of this physical form, which is ultimately just a decaying log wrapped in a beautiful layer of skin. Recognizing the early signs of karmic force ravaging your health is a crucial matter, deciding both your physical well-being and your spiritual future. When karmic force first manifests in the body, it often appears in highly subtle forms. If you lack the mindfulness to recognize it, you will miss the golden phase for transformation. By the time the karmic fruit has fully ripened, the internal organs completely exhausted, and the consciousness overwhelmed by the fear of death, turning around to practice and cultivate becomes exceedingly difficult, like waiting until one is parched with thirst to begin digging a well. When you see through these signs clearly, you will no longer fall into a state of panic, fear, or resentment toward heaven and earth. You will understand that this is the moment a debt from the past has come due, and instead of fleeing, you choose to face it with courage and wisdom. Every sign appearing on the body is an opportunity to practice repentance, to let go of attachments, and to cultivate compassion toward yourself as well as all living beings. This is the key to transforming pain into the very material of awakening, turning illness into a pure, fragrant lotus blooming amidst the volatile currents of life. Now, let us delve deeply into the details, clearly identifying the three most distinctive signs that karmic force is silently ravaging your health, so that we may find the correct path to dissolve them in accordance with the Buddha's teachings before it is too late. Introduction to the obscure suffering of the unexplainable. In this contemporary era, there exists a profound paradox that many individuals encounter on their path of physical well-being. A person may experience an unrelenting weight within their chest, a chronic ache in the joints, or a profound, systemic exhaustion that drains their vitality day after day. Driven by the natural instinct to seek healing, they consult the most prestigious medical centers, undergo advanced diagnostic scans, and subject themselves to meticulous laboratory tests. Yet when the medical reports are finalized, the results return with a baffling declaration. There is no organic disease, no structural defect, and no chemical imbalance. The physical body, according to the instruments of science, is perfectly healthy. This creates a duality of suffering. The physical agony is undeniable and real. Yet the lack of a medical diagnosis breeds a deep sense of isolation, frustration, and psychological despair. Dear listeners, when the physical eyes of modern medicine cannot detect the flaw, it is not because the suffering is imaginary. Rather, it is because the root of the ailment is woven into the invisible, subtle fabric of karmic energy. This is the first definitive sign that negative karmic force is actively asserting itself upon the physical form. It manifests as an energetic blockage, an unseen barrier that disrupts the harmonious flow of the life force within the body, rendering worldly remedies ineffective because the medicine is being applied to the physical symptom rather than the spiritual cause. The main teaching on the manifestation of latent karmic blockages. The Blessed One often reminded the assembly of practitioners that every action, once committed with intention, leaves an indelible imprint upon the stream of consciousness. In the sacred discourses, the Buddha taught that when a living being repeatedly inflicts physical confinement, emotional distress, or structural harm upon other sentient life, that accumulated energy does not dissipate into the void. It remains dormant within the storehouse of consciousness, transforming into a dense, restrictive energetic weight. When the individual's meritorious energy naturally depletes over time, or when the physical body encounters the natural process of aging, these latent karmic imprints begin to crystallize. They project themselves onto the physical form as chronic, phantom pains, unyielding fatigue, or localized discomforts that completely defy conventional medical explanation and treatment. Detailed explanation on the mirror of past intentions. If esteemed practitioners observe the nature of physical existence with a deeply quietened mind, it becomes evident that the body is not merely a collection of organs, but a living canvas where past intentions are vividly painted. According to the spirit of this teaching, an unexplainable illness is the physical materialization of a spiritual debt that has come due. When medicine fails to find a biological cause, it indicates that the disorder is not born of external pathogens, but of internal karmic resonance. For instance, if in the distant past or during the earlier years of this present life, an individual constantly generated an atmosphere of intense anxiety, fear, or suppression for those around them, that dense, restrictive energy eventually collapses back onto its source. In this life, it may manifest as a suffocating tightness in the breathing passages, chronic migraines that resist all medication, or an overwhelming fatigue that sleep cannot remedy. The negative energy that was once projected outward to harm or control others has returned to restrict the free flow of energy within one's own the four great elements. To heal a condition of this nature, relying solely on chemical compounds or physical therapies is insufficient. One must trace the path of healing back to the realm of consciousness. If esteemed practitioners leave the mind unexamined, continuing to harbor resentment, stubbornness, or denial, the karmic blockage will only solidify further. Healing begins the very moment one embraces the truth of cause and effect with humility, understanding that the current physical distress is a gentle yet firm demand from the law of karma to purify the soul, release old attachments, and balance the spiritual scales through profound internal transformation. An illustrative story of hidden grievances and internal awakening. In a quiet valley nestled at the foot of an ancient, mist-shrouded mountain, there lived a prosperous merchant named Shen. For many years, Shen had accumulated great wealth, commanding respect and authority throughout the region. His estates were vast, and his trading caravans traveled far and wide. Yet despite his external abundance, a silent and relentless torment shadowed his life. For over 3 years, Shen had been plagued by an excruciating, burning sensation that radiated from his chest down to his hands. It felt as though an invisible fire was constantly smoldering beneath his skin, robbing him of sleep, peace, and the ability to enjoy the fruits of his labor, desperate for relief. Shen used his immense wealth to summon the most renowned physicians from distant provinces. They prepared rare herbal decoctions, applied delicate acupuncture needles, and prescribed strict regimens of rest. Yet every treatment failed. The physicians could find no physical defect, no inflammation of the flesh, and no biological poison within his system. In their confusion, they declared his illness an inexplicable anomaly. Hearing of a venerable Zen master named Master Yuan, who resided in a secluded monastery atop the mountain, Shen decided to make the arduous journey up the stone steps, seeking a cure that medicine could not provide. Upon arriving at the monastery, Shen found Master Yuan sitting in quiet meditation beneath a blooming plum tree, exhausted and in deep physical pain. The merchant bowed low and spoke with a voice strained by suffering. "Venerable Master, I come to you as a man tormented by a fire that no physician can see or extinguish. My chest burns, and my hands ache with a pain so real, yet completely untraceable. I have lived an honorable life of industry. Why has this curse befallen me? Is it a trick of the mind, or am I being punished by unseen forces?" Master Yuan slowly opened his eyes, reflecting a profound depth of stillness and compassion. He looked at Shen's trembling hands and spoke softly. "The physical form is but a mirror, Merchant Shen. The fire you feel does not originate from the flesh, nor is it a curse from external deities. It is an echo. To find its source, one must not look at the symptoms of today, but journey deeply into the silent storehouse of past intentions." Shen frowned, his mind clouded by confusion. "An echo, Master. I have always paid my taxes, supported my family, and given alms to the local temples. What intentions could possibly cause such agony?" Master Yuan gestured to a large stone basin filled to the brim with clear water. "Look closely into the water. Shen, when the surface is agitated by the wind, the reflection is distorted. When the wind dies down, the truth of what lies at the bottom is revealed. Sit with me in silence and let the wind of your worldly pride subside." For 3 days, Shen remained at the monastery, practicing the art of silent mindfulness under the guidance of the master. He learned to observe his breath, to quiet his restless thoughts, and to allow the deep-seated memories of his life to surface without judgment or denial. On the 4th morning, as the valley below was bathed in the soft light of dawn, a forgotten chapter of his youth broke through the surface of his consciousness. Shen gasped, tears swelling in his eyes as a profound realization hit his heart. He sought out Master Yuan immediately. "Master, I see it now," Shen whispered, his voice trembling not from physical pain but from profound remorse. 20 years ago, when I was establishing my empire, I bought a rival cloth manufacturing workshop. To maximize my profits and ensure total control, I locked the workers inside the dark, poorly ventilated cellars for 14 hours a day. I remember their cries, their complaints about the suffocating heat in their chests, and how their hands blistered and bled from the coarse fibers. I ignored their suffering, viewing them merely as instruments for my wealth. When they begged for air and rest, I hardened my heart. Master Yuan nodded slowly, his gaze filled with gentle understanding. The energy of their collective distress, their suffocating chests, and their burning hands did not vanish into the void. "Shen, you locked them away in the dark, and in doing so, you sowed a powerful seeds of restriction and torment. For many years, your youthful vitality and worldly merits masked the ripening of that seed. But as the seasons of your life changed, the karmic force matured. The fire you feel in your chest today is the very same fire of despair you ignited in theirs 2 decades ago. Shen looked down at his burning hands, understanding the absolute justice of the law of cause and effect. Is there any hope for me, Master? Or am I doomed to burn until this body returns to dust? Karma forces are immutable if the mind remains stubborn, Master Yuan replied. But karma can be dissolved through the power of true repentance and a profound shift in consciousness. You must open the doors you once locked, release your grip on excessive control, seek out those workers or their descendants, and dedicate your wealth to cooling the fires of suffering in the world. When the mind genuinely let go of greed and embraces boundless compassion, the energetic knots within the body will naturally untie themselves, universal spiritual lessons drawn from the mirror of reality. The profound transformation of the merchant Shen offers a timeless lesson for all esteemed practitioners who find themselves navigating the unexplainable tribulations of the body. It reminds us that every physical ailment that defies worldly science is a sacred call to self-reflection. When we suffer from an illness that medicine cannot cure, it is an invitation from the universe to stop looking outward for blame or superficial remedies, and to instead look deeply within the hidden recesses of our own history. True healing does not begin with a chemical antidote. It begins with the courageous awakening of the conscience. The law of karma operates within mathematical precision, what we project into the lives of others. Whether it be comfort or distress, freedom or restriction, will inevitably return to manifest within our own psycho-physical framework. When one recognizes this truth, the illusion of being a helpless victim of fate dissolves, replaced by a profound sense of spiritual responsibility. If esteemed practitioners observe their lives through this lens of clarity, they will understand that the ultimate medicine is the cultivation of a pure, repentant, and compassionate heart. By letting go of the rigid desire for control, by acknowledging past errors with humility, and by actively working to alleviate the suffering of all sentient beings, the dense, stagnant energies of negative karma are washed away by the fluid current of loving kindness. When the mind finds its ultimate peace and surrenders its heavy attachments, the physical body naturally aligns itself with the harmonious rhythms of life, restoring health from the very root of existence. If you find these insights meaningful, please subscribe to the Buddha's Healing channel to nurture wholesome minds together every day. As this profound contemplation draws to a gentle close, let esteemed practitioners allow the mind to rest in absolute stillness. The journey through the intricate pathways of karma, health, and spiritual retribution is not intended to instill fear, nor is it meant to burden the soul with a sense of inescapable destiny. Rather, it serves as a luminous beacon of truth, illuminating the hidden landscapes of the inner world, so that true liberation may be achieved before the final sands of time slip away. Throughout this discourse, it has become fundamentally clear that the physical form is not an isolated vessel, but an exquisite, living manifestation of the accumulated intentions of the past. Every lingering ache that defies the instruments of modern medicine, every sudden disruption of the bodily elements, and every deep-seated exhaustion is a silent whisper from the law of cause and effect. Illness is not a random punishment from an angry deity, nor is it a cruel twist of blind fate. It is, in its truest essence, a profound teacher wrapped in the guise of suffering, a sacred mirror reflecting the unpurified, neglected corners of the human consciousness, the sacred practice of mindful release and daily awareness. To truly dissolve the heavy bonds of karmic debt and restore harmony to the physical vehicle, one must move beyond the superficial pursuit of external remedies, True healing demands a radical return to the source of all creations. The mind, the power of letting go. Esteemed practitioners must learn the art of let go of the profound release of attachments, deep-seated grudges, and the rigid desire for worldly control. Just as the merchant Shen had to unlock the doors of his past and release his grip on excessive greed, every individual must examine their heart and let go of the ancient resentments that cause the internal fire to smolder. The mirror of self-reflection. Every morning and every evening, let dear listeners turn the gaze inward. Instead of asking why the body is suffering, ask what the suffering is trying to awaken within the soul. Acknowledge past errors with genuine humility and repentance. For a single tear of true remorse can wash away the dense blockages of 1,000 lifetimes. The sanctuary of daily mindfulness. Living in mindfulness complete. Unshakable awareness in the present moment is the ultimate shield against the accumulation of negative karma. Whether eating, walking, breathing, or speaking, let every action be infused with the gentle warmth of loving kindness and compassion. When the mind is anchored firmly in the present, the chaotic winds of past karma naturally lose their power to agitate the life force. The gentle reminders for the spiritual journey. This physical shell is entirely bound to the laws of birth, old age, sickness, and death. It is an impermanent dwelling, a borrowed garment that must eventually be returned to the four great elements of the earth. We cannot alter the fundamental nature of cosmic decay, nor can we permanently escape the shedding of this material form. However, what remains entirely within the realm of human sovereignty is the purity of the consciousness that inhabits it. Do not wait until the eyes grow dim and the limbs grow heavy to seek the path of spiritual cultivation. Let the cultivation begin this very moment with a single mindful breath, a soft word of forgiveness, and an open heart that embraces the suffering of all sentient beings. When the inner landscape is transformed into a garden of boundless compassion, the physical form will naturally find its highest state of balance, resilience, and peace. If these shared reflections have brought a sense of serenity and clarity to the heart, esteemed practitioners are gently invited to subscribe to the Buddha's healing channel and leave a meaningful reflection below, so that a collective community of awakening may be nurtured together each day. May all beings be free from physical torment. May all minds find ultimate liberation, and may the light of the Dharma guide every step through this transient world.